other chat line here somewhere. Bear with me. No. Can anyone see me? Right, I've messed up. Nope. We see you. Right, am I live? Because I've got no idea. Still can't see the chats again. So, right, can everybody hear me okay? Because I have no idea what's going on here now. Yes, you are. Hello from Glasgow. Right, okay. Right, now I need to find where I'm going live on here. So, let's press on live. Right, that's 3 hours ago. No, I'm not getting it. No. No. Right, I'm really in the blind here. So I don't know who I'm talking to or who I'm seeing. So we got Angelica Faith from Canada. We can see and hear you. Sally Belair. Hi, Sally. You've been on my channel for a long time. Okay, I can't get to the chats again, so sorry about that. I've really messed up. I'm just seeing them on a little screen just in front of me there. So I'm just going to blab for a half an hour on an hour. Might be half an hour now instead of an hour because I've completely got this wrong and I'm so sorry, but it's boring me. Keep saying that now. So I'm just going to crack on then. I can't see nothing at all and I do not know what to do. Oh, something's working. something's working. I got a lag on it. Right, Angelica Faith, am I on the right thing here? Hit the like button. Right, okay. Elemental. I just say elemental, yay. Okay, all right, so we're all here. Now, I did see a question. I still don't know how to do this. I'm absolutely rubbish. It was easier for me to connect with God than it is to connect with YouTube. It's as simple as that. I get more fun from connecting in with spirit than I do trying to understand how all this stuff works. It's driving me crazy. So there was a great question I saw on here earlier on, and it's a really important question because your questions do count. And someone was speaking about, I can't remember the name now because it's gone, but someone was speaking about seeing dark entities. Now you can see these, especially when you close your eyes. There's a couple of meanings behind that, but it's so important because it was something that happened to me and it's scary in some sense. I have to go back in the memoirs now, so bear with me a second as I flick through when it was all starting to happen. There was a meaning behind it that I heard, and the meaning is as I was developing as a psychic medium channel, it was seemingly like that these faces that were coming to me that seemingly seemed dark were checking out who I am. That can go a little bit further than that. Sometimes when you're looking at these faces, because as you got your eyes closed, you're thinking to yourself, well, what on earth are these faces? It reminded me of like the slot machine, you know, where the click, click, click goes round. And I just used to see all these faces. And that was spirit connection. And that's how they were sort of getting through to me to open me up to doing the channeling. it's all quite scary. You know, the more you get into what spirituality is all about, it can be very scary. There's not many great parts in it unless you want to sit on a beach dressed in white, banging a pair of cymbals and just drifting off into nowhere. I mean, that's really good. But my spirituality is all about understanding who you are. It's raw and it's tough going. It's hard work, it seems, because it's transformation. Because you want something that works forever. I didn't want something that worked on a Wednesday, didn't work on a Thursday. I needed something that really worked. So going back to the dark entities, that can open up into understanding that dark entities do actually exist. I put them in the fourth dimension. So when I was going through the dark night of the soul, I call it angel chess. It seemed like that when I'd finished playing chess with humans, they make a move, I make a move, or in whatever way, relationships, your jobs, it's a game of chess. Somebody wins the game, somebody loses the game. Angel chess became more predominant for me. Should be a board game, shouldn't it? Became more important for me because I was dealing with an invisible force that was stopping me from trying to understand what did spirituality mean, what is my soul, what did I come here to do, why is it so difficult to transform oneself. And when you go into the depression, that enables that dark spirit to come even closer. Now, what I'm talking about there isn't new. This stuff's been talked about. How many times you want to say been? This stuff is being spoken about for centuries. It's what everyone truly believed. You know, back in the darkest Amazon jungles, they still believed that if somebody was sick, they put that down to being a dark entity or a demon. And I can really relate to that. And at first, you know, I don't understand this story. I don't understand the journey. I don't know what's happening. It's just happening. I'm just riding it as I get through. And as you know, now I've gotten through. That's why I teach what I do. So we have this idea that there's dark entities, that there's light entities. Now, each and every one of us contains dark entity and light entity, or dark energy and light energy. A lot of the dark energy within us comes from the human programming, because life just kicks you. Life beats you. Everyone's against you, it seems. You very, very rare got friends. It's a world of self. It's a world that's quite dark in all of its ways, in every conceivable way. I've even got to the point now where I look at things and I say, you know, even people wanting to have children into this world, it's like we're bringing children into a very dark world. They're going to really need to be spoken to and taught very well on what it means to have a different level of consciousness. So sin spirit, the dark spirits are there and they will attach to you. You know them days when you've got no energy. Do you ever feel a pain in the back of your neck and a throbbing headache just around about here? Do you feel that your senses are being diverted off to the right, tuning in or picking in? And you'll find yourself zoning out. And then you'll be questioning yourself and saying, boy, do I feel rubbish today, or I've got no energy. I don't know what's going on. I don't even know why I'm thinking these thoughts. That is spirit energy. I know it's a tough one, isn't it? It's really, when I speak about this stuff, I speak about, you know, the journey, getting to where I was getting to. It's all right coming from a place of Beeism and empathy, because that for me was the ultimate. That was pure freedom from being a human being. But the journey in between my God, I don't think I've seen that written in any book or any film. It can be quite horrific in a way. And that's why I say, spirituality, why is it so hard? And I used to scream, this can't be spirituality. You're leading me down a dark hole, it seems. So dark entities are really important as well, because what I'd realised in that dark entity is that they was actually teaching me towards the light. And that was the trick. That's how I began to play angel chess, because I'm starting to know what the darkness's move is all about. Now, when I say darkness, I've said it before, but it's worth repeating. It just seemed like darkness was trying to stop me from being a nice person. Darkness was trying to stop me from being loving, getting out my message. So I used to look at this and I thought, well, who am I that the darkness feel that it's right to try and stop me? And I used to think, well, I must be somebody, I must be something, because why is this stuff happening that seems like it's out of a fairy tale? So it will seem like that. But playing the angel chess was me punching my way through, and it did seem like that. That's why I say it's hell getting to heaven, because your mind is filled with such dark thoughts, it seems, that you think that spirituality is a place where we have beautiful thoughts, we become beautiful entities, beautiful magical entities, I'd like to call it, and that we have a mind that's filled with beautiful words. But the journey from A to B, it is filled with a lot of darkness and a lot of bad thoughts. But as I said, it's a great teacher, because the moment you catch all that darkness and that you realize that it's not you that's actually saying it, that's when you become the observer of the thoughts. And as you know, the thoughts are the most hardest things to change. I know, it's so hard. It's programming, and it's something that you're not used to. And so therefore, when you start to go against the mind, it's hard, because it's a battle, and you're fighting yourself to try and make sense of who you are, what is your drama, what's this relationship about, why do I feel so bad, why is the inner world so dark, what is this thing called divinity, is there such a thing as spirit and the soul? Oh, wow, it gets mind-boggling. Let's have a look. Yes, I can see him. So we've got Sally Blair. The audio is also good. Thank you, Leon. Sydney, Australia. Welcome. I used to have a big fan base there. I think YouTube stopped me from being seen over there. We can see and hear you. Angelica Faye from Canada. Hello, Marlene. Okay, we've got a lovely few people on here. Let me know what it is that you want me to speak about. Right, experimental. You got a question. When my mediumship was opening up, I saw small skulls coming towards me at Ruth Jones. Okay, Ruth Jones. I went through the dark night, been going through it for years. I'm sure, I think, be honest with you, I would have also been going through it for years if it wasn't for the battle, or maybe it was my destiny. It's taken me a long time to figure out, wasn't it just me trying to work all of this out, or was there a meaning to why I went through that, to be able to find a solution to that? And I mean solution, SOULUTION, solution. I think the answer to a lot of things that is produced by the human programming can be answered by the soul. The human story makes no sense at all. But when you see it from the soulful side, as I've said to you, it's a completely different story. It's so amazing. I still finding it hard to actually bring it over onto this channel and be able to speak about it, because it's like you're watching two movies. You know, this is your human side, and that's Trevor. Trevor's got this human thing. He's a dad of, you know, does all the human things. But then you've got this other side that you would say is spiritual. You could say it's God. You could say it's intelligent consciousness, which is what I love. You know, if people want to speak about God, you know, for me, I just use intelligent consciousness. It's pure creation, and we are pure creation. And the human being in us has destroyed it, you know. So I think I went through it through the pains of what I went through. I believe it's probably someone else's reward. It's like the frustrated artist, you know. Everyone will get pleasure from the art, but the artist will go through a lot of hard times. Maybe the author will, that writes an incredible book. You know, there's always a substitute in something that we do. But understanding the difference between your human side and the beamy side of it all is two completely different things. In the human side, it's got a real dark energy. That's that dark energy that we all walk around with. It's heavy. There's a heaviness, but we just kind of get used to it, don't we? We just think it's human, and you get so used to it that it's just human. Healing became a great understanding of transformation, and I believe that's what all souls were here to do: fall into the human trap, try to figure out that something isn't right, and then come out. But there's a lot of people that are not coming out, and someone explained it so bloody well, and that was a soul that I speak with, I've communicated with. We're helping each other in certain aspects of what we're doing with understanding Beeism. But he was turning around and saying, in baseball terms, you know, listen, everyone wants a home run, don't they? We all want to get round there and strike a home run. But in baseball, you know, you may get to first base or second base, third base until you get home. And he pointed out to me that there's a lot of people out there that are speaking about spirituality, or they're speaking about the dark night of the soul, and they're only taking the people to the third base. And he said to me so eloquently, he said, what you do is that you take people to the home base, which means you're taking people that extra level. And I believe that's Beeism. I believe that the struggles of trying to understand me in all the dramas led me to a point of awakening the soul, realizing that I came here from a greater energy, came into this, forgot what I was going through. Life gets a bit rough. Then you start to see some real strange things start to happen, and you wonder why. And then the communication started for me by writing, so that was another point of that. And as I began to write and empty myself of the human, it allowed the new me, the ember key, the Beeism, the author, the philosopher, the healer, the alchemist, the list goes on. It's incredible. And you've all got that, because what I'm telling the world is the human programming isn't who we are. There's no way, but we so believe that to be the case. And so therefore, when you stop and think about the greatness of who we are, because I think that's where everyone has lost how great they are. They've lost the intelligence, they've lost the divine spark, they've lost their mojo, they're drained of energy. But this planet of humans loves that stuff. They believe that that's what life is all about. So Beeism, which now may have evolved again into Beemism, kind of like that. Beeism has kind of got a religious connotation to it, and so rightfully so. It should have, because it's religiously believing in oneself in a world that is just feeding us lies and bullshit. All of it. It's all just rubbish. And so therefore, believing in the human self you will miss life in a sense. You might have a little story. And that's what always got me questioning, you know. When I was a medium and I was getting messages from the other side, I thought, you're not telling me much. You know, tell me more. Tell me what's everything like. And I realised we've got a problem because you're just telling me of things that you had in this material life, but there's no substance there. There was no meaning there. There was no wisdom there. There was no love there. They was just talking about what illness they had and what they died of and the children that they had. And, you know, people want a message from the spirit world. Everyone wants a message from the spirit world. You know, I too wanted that, but it just wasn't good enough. And it made me realise that if you're living in that human programming and you leave this world and you go over, you are still living in that human programming. And I tell you for something, how I know that to be 100% true, because I don't talk about shit. I talk about things that have happened to me that are very weird. And in that weirdness became a story of an unbelievable story of trying to understand, well, what's normal and what's weird, because this shit's getting weird. And so therefore, when my father-in-law's mum died, she went off, and I ended up paying a visit to her. And I went to her house in the spirit world. Yeah, houses, right? And dogs. Yeah, so dogs and pets are there for sure. And but the house that she was in was something that was very familiar to her. So when I told her son, my father-in-law at the time, about what the house looked like, what the dog was like, what its name was, what colour it was, and all of these things, he was gobsmacked. I was gobsmacked. So therefore, that's her world. That's what her energy was used to. So that's where she fitted in. And it's like as if she's just waiting for the rest of the people to turn up. And so therefore, the communication in that spirit was very limited, because being the human being was also very limiting in the conversation of who you are, what you are. So Beeism became a faith. It became a relationship. It becomes something I needed to love, because be me is me. There's the thing. Be me is me. But what is your be me? This may be a spiritual moment. This may be a spiritual teaching. This may be something that is helping you. But this was something that I discovered within me. But what is in you? If you wasn't that human being that was pained and broken and injured, mainly from your parents, then the schooling, so the whole thing. So I bring the new. And it was really hard when I did the thumbnail, and Trevor Ilelsey, who is he? I was like, oh wow, that's a tough question. Who is he? And I was asking people to sort of, who am I? What's my title? And the reason why I say that is because I've had a shed load of titles. Working on TV for so many years, people called me all manner of things. Psychic medium, clairvoyant, healer, soul teacher. I won't say the rest of them, but some of them, you know, I had a load of titles. And I thought, I don't know what title. So it was very hard for me. And I spent about 3 days on that thumbnail, and I thought, Trevor Ilelsey, I just didn't want to put that word spiritual teacher. But I had to put that word spiritual teacher because it kind of sums it up on the other side of it all. But in all honesty, I'm just being me. And that's what I love about it. So just being me, yes, can be psychic, can be medium, can be a channel. I can do all of them things. And it's not because that's the gift of it, although it seems like it is. But what I've discovered through understanding Beeism, the higher self, loving self, understanding consciousness, becoming fully aware of oneself, all of them abilities just happen. They're not something I really trained for. There's not something I sort of woke up and thought, oh, I've got a really good idea. I know what I'll do. I'll blow my bleeding life that's so good. I'll let all that go and I'll talk to dead people. That wasn't my choice. It's the soul's choice. And that's the difference. When you're sort of chosen or you're timed to awakened and we don't know what's happening, that's the true kind of awakening that's really happening. It's like it's going against who you are, and therefore you have this battle of trying to fathom out, well, why is that happening? And of course now I know why. So Be Me is me, is doing, experiencing, understanding its potential and simplifying. Someone pointed out to me again about how I have simplified something, which means I can take a darkened story, like the dark night of the soul, depression. I mean, they're awful stories that we can't seem to work out or understand. How do we get through this? And so therefore, I used to think I was unintelligent because I wasn't saying things in an intelligent way. Maybe when you get to read my book, it's probably not intelligence. You know, there's probably going to be things in there that can almost seem a little bit childish. But somebody pointed it out to me and said, it takes a genius to look at something that is so hard to work out and find a simple solution. And I thought, well, didn't look at it like that. I didn't look at the work that I was doing to try and simplify it. But now when I look at it and I see just 3 letters, be me, be you, that's 2 letters, you know. So being me is very important. Being you is very important. It's the greatest journey of all life, isn't it, eh? You know, when we went to the moon, everyone was out on the streets, wasn't they? It was like D-Day. It was like celebrations. We walked on the moon. We got to the moon. What was there? Nothing. Wasn't a Walmart. There wasn't a supermarket. Wasn't nothing really. So what was the point of that? Not of a lot of excitement going on there. And we're going to do it when we set foot on Mars. And everyone's going to be elated. Maybe it'll be a bank holiday day where we can all have the day off to celebrate when we actually step foot on Mars. There's nothing there. I can save you time and money. There's nothing there. And when you look at you walking on a planet, for God's sake, it's like you ain't got a spacesuit on and you're not there just to pick up rocks. See? The human has got us deluded. It's made us damaged, ill, sick, unconfident. So many people are unconfident, and it's a real shame, I think, for people to live a life feeling unconfident. But that's the way you've come to this planet. You're experiencing that, and that's a gift. Everything, every weakness that you've got is a gift. Okay. Right, let's have a look at where we're going here. Thank you for everyone for coming in. I feel bad if I want something good for me, but I know that it's the curse. I can't quite understand properly. It's as if I need to suffer, only then would I be a good daughter person. Ooh. Right, I think I'm getting a bit of it. There's a few more. I feel like I've lived a happy, fulfilled life, like I would be backstabbing them because they taught me from young age that life is suffering. Oh, they taught me from God. For people that used to know me on TV, this is just like being on TV, this is. Right, okay, listen. Yeah, that's an important question. Should we have a look at that one about suffering? Because, wow, that's tough, isn't it? Everything that we seem to do, getting a job, losing a job, getting a relationship, losing a relationship, understanding consciousness, understanding spirituality, understanding your upbringing, understanding how to keep earning money, understanding how to keep a roof over your head. It's like, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and you have to fight to get what you want, because we're living in a very competitive world. Everybody is fighting over something. Countries are fighting over an invisible line in the sand that says that that's my country, this is your country, I speak this language, you speak that language. My God believes this, my God believes that. And it's like, do you know what? Honestly, when you truly awaken, that's such bullshit. The whole thing is bullshit. The whole thing of struggling for something is, yes, that's programming all the way. I'll give you the lesson now, because when we're going from stepping stones, we want to get from A to B to C to D to E. And in between them stepping stones is river, is water. It can be torrent, it can be raging water. And you want to go from A to B. I realised that what we were doing was, I would be at my A point. Now, don't forget, my A's and B points was about being a messenger, being a channel, being a psychic medium, clairvoyant, bringing in Beeism, finding the soul. You know, it was a total different thing. It wasn't a business like, how do I go from zero net worth into earning 15,000 in the first month? God, that would have been so much easier than this. And this is what I really realised. And you will realise, I'll bring it to the point. When you use your mind and you say, I want to get from here, which could mean I'm feeling really miserable and I really want to get to a place of happiness. So we paint pictures in our minds of what would make us happy, right? And so therefore we try to do them things to make us happy. So what we do, we jump off that stone, that rock, and we dive into the water and we start swimming. You might swim like that, you might swim like that, or you might be fancying joking there, a little bit of backstroking, however you want to swim it. Anyway, mine was doggy paddle, and that was quite tough. And it seemed like the closer I wanted to get to the next rock, it just seemed like that rock was getting further and further away. And I was swimming and I'm swimming and I'm swimming and I'm nearly drowning. And this is getting hard work. And it's getting bloody exhausting. And even sometimes you start swimming back to the first rock because something's going on here. I just can't get to that second step, that second rock. That can happen in business, but in the spiritual journey, it's a big one. And what I'd realised is that if it's in your pathway, if it's truly something that's in your soul, and you sense it and you feel it, that's where it's going to go. I allowed that second rock to start coming towards me. So there was no jumping in and swimming. But how did I come to that? I looked at all these stepping points, call them the 7 chakras, right? 7 rocks, 7 boulders, 7 chakras. Going from chakra 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 was very difficult. But now when I look at it, once I understood chakra 1 and I balanced that, I was standing on chakra 2 rock anyway. So I didn't have to try, I didn't have to swim, but I learnt that the hard way. So I'm saying to people, when we stop the struggle, things come into us. It's like going with the tide, or going with the stream, going with the flow, or we're trying to swim upstream, which is only salmon can do that, and they're having a really hard time with that, if there's not a grizzly bear waiting to catch you to have a dinner, right? Everything is hard. Doesn't matter what you are, a bird, a fish, an insect, anything, everything's hard. But that's what it was for me. So when people say you can manifest a Ferrari and things like that, I don't go with none of that stuff that they're teaching out there. If they got their Ferrari, well done them. That was them. They got their Ferrari. That's if you want a Ferrari. I couldn't think of anything worse to drive, be honest with you. But if it's not in your soul's journey, you can think as much as you like about a Ferrari. You can do all the hard work that you want to do to get a Ferrari, but it's not in your soul's journey. Your soul will not be interested in that. But pure manifesting is about healing self. All manifesting is only from within you. To feel clean, to feel pure, to feel empty is a great place. That's Beeism. That's better than driving a Ferrari, that's for sure. Right, okay. Mina, right. John Armstrong. I'm John. Trevor, I see the dirt in everyone, including my family. It's you can see through all the lies and what it is they really want, and it's usually something for themselves. Yeah, again, it's when you're dealing with people and you start to grow and you start to become aware. It's like being in a movie and someone's changed the players and the language that's coming out of their mouth is just real rubbish. I hate to say it, and I'm not being horrible here, but it's something that I was noticing, and I thought to myself, why are people giving me so much bullshit? Why are people lying? And I used to find people were fabricating stories, of what they're up to or what they've done or what they're getting and all of these things. Or even what a great night that they had the night before. It was like everyone was lying to the point was, did that really happen? But did you really say that? And it dawns on you that people are living these stories or fantasies about what's happening. That's their reality. That's what they believe is happening. But again, when I sort of awakened and I grew away from that and I just saw where people were, I think it's a true understanding that people can be just stand-in parts. They call them MP3 players. They're just in the game, but they're not really part of the game. They're just there looking through the shop window or something. So you will, as you grow, a lot of people you won't trust like you used to trust. And I always say you can trust the human so far, but you can never trust the demon or the dark energy that resides within them. That's loaded like a gun, that is. And I know that for a fact because mine was loaded like a gun. Again, when I talk about what I talk about, I was it. I was all of them things as a human being until I realised that's the nightmare that I was playing. Just basically wasting my life, almost being an idiot in a way. But that's not our fault again. It's all that's on offer, to be honest to you. It's all that's on offer. It's all everyone's learning is how to just be like a human being. And the moment you sort of understand how to be a human being, you're retired and now you're nursing yourself with illness. Beeism for me is an approach to healing that hopefully you'll get to see the effects of it later on in life. Because the damage done by the human being, if I carried on being the human being, I'm sure I would have been a lot sicker. I think I would have had a lot more complaints. I think I would be taking more medicine. I think I would be more deeper in the depression. I just think I would be worse. And I already thought I was worse. I already thought I was bad. But when I went in and understood the story, this is what I'm trying to say to you, is understand your story. And I bring a different story. And it's simple. It's just about me and it's just about you. That's what life is. That's your greatness. And if you can understand it in 3 letters, be me, then things can change. Right, okay, we've got Ruth Jones. There is no space. That's just in your mind. Right, Joan Armstrong. I have fell out with family and separated with my son, who I have never had a bond with. It's like I'm all alone. Me and my puppy, I just can't stand being around them. I'm isolated and feel lost. Oh, that's from John. Okay, John. I mean, there's a lot there that's going on, isn't there? You know, you fell out with your family. That's a long story in whatever way. You're separated with your son. You'll have to look at that and sort of say, okay, is that your fault? Is that their fault? Can you understand why they're not speaking with you? Because families are the training ground of your attributes to how you think and feel as a being. Family can wind you up like no end. Family treat you like they're not family, but then sometimes I look at it and think, well, what really is a family? I mean, everyone's got one. Everyone's treating each other differently. It's a room of people, isn't it, that we call family and that we're connected. And I suppose if you're lucky that you've had a close-knit family that's kind of loving, kind of understanding, kind of didn't beat you up when you was a kid and stuff like that, you know, that would be nice, then maybe you got a great chance. But when you step away from the family, you know, you'll always be the black sheep and you'll always be thinking why. But I just used to get to the point within it all with my family. Nobody quite understood each other anyway. And so therefore, when I was going through my dark night, I just stayed away a lot of the times because they're not going to understand what I'm going through, and I'm not going to waste my time trying to even explain to them what I'm going through, because every being, every member of your family has a judgment about who you are or what you are. And one of my mates said it so rightfully: if you won the lottery, and you walked into the pub with all your mates and you went to everyone, and people knew that you'd won the lottery, and you bought a drink but you didn't buy anyone a drink, they would call you a tight ass. But if you went in there and people knew that you'd won the lottery and you said, the drinks are on me, you're called a flash bastard. How do you win? You're tight if you don't offer and buy everyone a drink, or you're flash if you want to flash it around and buy everyone a drink. So, if you're miserable, family will moan about that. If you're too happy, people will moan about that as well. So, have you never noticed that the happier you are, the more people want to bring you down? They don't join your happiness. They'll never join your love, and they definitely won't join in your enlightenment, that's for sure. And they definitely won't want to talk to you about the dark night of the soul or your depression. They're not interested. That's the truth of that. Got a question for you. Right, oh my God, love you, black sheep and the golden child. Okay, that's right. I've no name with that. I had to accept I wasn't like my family and they didn't have my back at all, ever. I mean, I was speaking to somebody about that yesterday, and they went and see their mum. I hadn't seen them for a little while, and she came back and she went, God, it feels like she's not my mum. There's something there that's lacking. There's something there that's missing. And I do know a lot of people are saying that. It's just like there's just no connection. But when you stop and think about it, what is the connection? The connection can seem like you're only connected emotionally. But when you disconnect from that and you see them as, well, there's no connection, they don't seem like my family, that means you've disconnected from them emotionally. That's a great place. But you've got to know it's a great place. And so therefore, once you know that you're disconnecting from them emotionally, you can do things in a completely different way. And so therefore, the more aware you become, the more awakened you become, the more truthful that you become within yourself. I mean, you tell your truth to the family. oh, you will create enemies for sure. You really will. It's a real tough one, people. JPH, love, rainbows and cine cameras and loads of things. Thank you so much for being. Ruth, it's good to be on your own in the long run. You will go inside yourself and find yourself wake up and what we are all living in. I think that is the journey. I think a lot of people have been saying that about feeling alone, especially when it comes down to the transformation, the soul. That for me, listen, I was around thousands of people. I was never not around people. So when that lot went away and I was left very much alone, wow, that was really very much alone. But then being the messenger of Beeism, I was still very much alone because I couldn't go and learn that stuff. Everything that I have done to achieve and understand what is my soul actually saying, what is my soul here to achieve, then that takes work to try and get that connection together. And I think I've lost thread now of what I'm saying. So let's go back to that a little bit. Just lost myself there. Yeah, you go inside. Yeah, go inside. It's going to happen to a lot of people, especially at retirement as well. You've been busy, busy, busy. And then you retire and you sit there and you think, got nothing to do. Where do I go today? Who shall I go and see? What shall I think about today? And I realised that in that inner world, wow, that's a strange one because you're so used to being on the outside world. But I realised that when I went into my inner world, I realised how broken I was. I realised how wrong I was. I realised that all of my experiences were just piled up inside, like as if I'm carrying a rucksack full of bricks, as you've heard me say. And I used to look at that and think, my God, if I've got to live here for another 30 years, no wonder you get old and you can't walk. You're just carrying so much shit. You're carrying all of them experiences. Alchemy, healing, Beeism. It's all about unloading that stuff. And that's the great feeling of it. You just unload it because you see it in a different way. So that's what healing truly is about. It's really tough for sure. Oh my God, love, yeah. Sam Chapman, it's hard to have so much love for people that don't appear in your reality anymore or who don't seem open to receiving it. It makes me feel like I'm all wrong. It's like, do you know what? People find it really hard to be open about love, right? There's two things with love. People want to be loved, but they actually can't receive love. They're very strange. And I'll tell you for why. I go on experience. I seem to be very good at giving love out, making somebody feel good, somebody look good, making somebody feel like they're the best ever. Let's put it that way. So I could give the love, but when it was given back to me, I did not know how to receive it. It was very weird for me. It was hard for me because I never received love before. So when I was receiving love, yeah, I knew how good that felt, and I knew how it was affecting me, but I wasn't sure how to interpret it. See, that's the thing. In a relationship, you know, it's very rare, or you're very lucky, or you're very privileged, or meant to be, that two people can exchange love, or can be natural, whatever be the case, comfortable in each other's presence. One gives love, one loses love, one loves you, one don't love you. You know, it's very difficult to understand the exchange of love. But I think giving and receiving in anything, wisdom, people don't really want wisdom, but the soul craves the wisdom. But wisdom is very much missing. Unless you're an Indian guru sage that gives wisdom, we can all give wisdom once you understand what your story's been about. And if you can look at your story without the pain of it, that's that swimming from A to B point. If you can get rid of that pain, you'll get to B point anyway. So that's wisdom. It's being able to see a terrible time, an awful time, and my awful time was the dark night of the soul. That was a battle for my life. Truly a battle for my life. It was a battle me trying not to take my life. So the battle for me was trying to stay alive, and that become the transformation. That actually become my success. It's I'm still alive. And so therefore I know what I've got works because that was the experience of it. Yes, it's all hard. It's all hard trying to understand self within. How do you reset, be clear, be an authentic being and feel okay? That's a long story. How do you reset? Well, that's Beeism. Beeism for me was the reset. It's the reset on your computer. If your computer is all got messed up, it's running sluggish, what do? You do a factory reset. But us as a human being, that's very difficult to do a complete reset. Is it possible? In the human mind, no, that's not possible. But in what I discovered, oh yeah, that was totally possible. I did a reset. And that's why the dark night of the soul is going back into the womb. And that's why the dark night of the soul is so dark, because that's exactly where you are. So therefore, that's where you're going to give birth. So that's your reset. Now you reset it, you can reset that button, but that involves a lot of healing, of understanding how do you get to that reset button. You know, on your computer, you might, oh, let's try this before I reset it. Oh, let's try this before I reset that. Have I downloaded that? No, I better download that. Have I updated that? No, I better update that. No, it's none of them things. Shit. Just wasted 2 days trying to find out it's not what it is. Now I've got to press reset. So I've got a new computer now. I've pressed reset. Now, what do I do with that new computer? Well, I've now got to start filling it back up with hopefully not the stuff I had on it that made it sluggish. That's why I say in depression, don't kid yourself, you're going back to the beginning of who you used to be, because that's still not the reset. Depression is actually your reset. That's the end. Depression is the end. You need to press that reset button. But I'm saying is, for me, Beeism was the reboot. This is like, oof, now let's see what this button does. Wow, that's different. Wow, that's completely different. I've got a new computer. But it takes time to learn that new computer. And you start adding different things to that computer. But this time, I'm not going to add the things that I know in 6 months to a year, this computer is going to start running slow again. That is the difference between filling yourself back up with the human programming. And human programming, I mean, I know I'm probably sounding really weird and probably sounding like some fruitcake. And trust me, I get it. I do understand it. I believed it myself. Let's try and explain a little bit more about when I say got to get rid of the human being, and I say it's the programming. Well, it was the way that I thought about myself. It's the way that I felt about myself. It's the way that I was talking, judging. It was the way that I was loving. It was the way that I saw life. It's the way that I believed life to be. As someone mentioned earlier on in the chat, it was a struggle. I've got to fight for everything that you need. You've got to even fight for love. I mean, I've never heard of anything so ridiculous in all my life, because that's one of the things in the end. You don't fight for love. Love just is. It's naturalness. And so therefore, it's a reset is when you just say, I've had enough. I just really had enough. But what you're going to input back in to that empty programming now, And that for me, I think, is Beeism. I'm going to fill it up with all the things I love. I want to fill my mind with the thoughts of greater thoughts. I want to find the greatest of feelings with them greater thoughts. And I want to create something that I didn't think I could create. And so therefore, your thinking, your creative self, everything becomes like new. It's like a new adventure. You're beginning again. It's the rebirth. It's like, wow, this is where I'm heading. This is where I'm going. This is how I'm thinking. This is how I'm feeling. The potential, the possibilities seem more endless. And the more you want to heal, the more you want to awaken. It just keeps evolving. It keeps evolving. It keeps evolving. Whereas human being program has taught you to worry. It's taught you to store negative energy. It's taught you to hate yourself. It's taught you to not love yourself or trust love. It's taught you to abuse yourself. It's taught you to hate the world. It's taught you to lose yourself. There you go. You just get lost in the shit and you have to scrabble your way through it. I think it's all, for me, the human being, as I say, there's no truth behind it. There's no identity behind it. It's just what is it? What does it mean? But when I say be me, there's the importance. That is really important. But you're just a human. There's 8 billion of you, so you're no different. You're just normal, right? You just fit in. Just play the game. Yeah, it's tough, the game. You get hurt by the game. You worry about the game. You've got success and loss. You hate people, you lose people. You have relationships, you love them, you hate them. People die. Beeism, even people die doesn't even exist for me. Because they just don't. But people die here. Depression for me was, I died. It really is a dying process. And don't let anyone kid you that it's not a very important journey. It's sacred. And it's yours. And everyone's going through it. But this one is yours. So finding the authenticity of it all is yours. Beeism, member key is my authenticity. This was my authenticity. What is authenticity? It's, wow, I am a one-off. What? You have wow moments. I am a one-off. I'm a walking, talking, creative work of art. A one-off, priceless piece of work from the creator. That's the identity that you want to give it. Sum it all up, it just says be me. Wow. I wish somebody told me that in the first place before I started wasting 50 years of it trying to be a human being that still left me in a place with, I have no clue, no idea what on earth has gone on. I don't want to live my life like that. And I know you're watching this channel saying the same thing. I'm not living my life like that. I know there's something different. And for me, the be me being is it. The human being is a big lie. The be me being for me, it feels right. So when you look at where you're at, you don't feel right. So what do you want? So we look for things to make us feel right. But what about if that you just don't feel right? So that's a feeling. So how about, well, I just don't want to feel right. I want to feel right. So there's your battle, isn't it? There's your A to B point. I don't feel right. I want to get to a point where I feel right. But what feels right for you and what feels right for somebody else are two completely different things. Beeism works for me. It might not work for you. You might not even get it. You might not understand it. What I want you to understand is that you are so much more. And what's gone on is that the world of inconsiderate, uneducated, low-level consciousness people called history created this rubbish that we fitted into, that we struggle with, that's becoming even more struggle. It's becoming even, It's rubbish. The whole thing is rubbish. For me, I'd like to have, I'll tell you what I would love. What do you call them? Not a riot, a peaceful rally. Is there a peaceful rally? I don't think there's such a thing. But people marching with their banners that says, I can't play your game anymore. I'm a be me. So you can stuff your human rules and regulations where the sun don't shine. Because being a human being comes lots of rules and regulations and control systems, and wow, it's horrible. We live in a horrible world, in a beautiful world that for me, I still say is the kingdom of heaven. And thank God I felt that feeling within me, that for this last glimpse of my last chance in life to actually see how wonderful and how beautiful it is before it gets utterly destroyed. I mean, for me, I can go political, but that's not where I want to go. But when I look at what's going on in America, voting between, oh my God, it's such a joke. It's unbelievable that that's all you've got on offer. That's your two candidates, is it? There's no way you're going to win. You might as well not turn up to the game, because both sides are not going to score goals. Because what I notice now is they're just having a go at each other like neighbours over the fence, complaining about your kids being too noisy. Oh, my kids are too noisy. What about your kids then? Here we go. Really? That's intelligence. That's two people trying to run America with that intelligence. Well, I hope they fight your corner, because what I've seen in the past, no one fights anyone's corner. They're just in it for their own business. We pay them. Right, okay. It's nice. I don't know how long I've been on here now. I do not know. Top messages. There's supposed to be a live button here for live chats, but I'm not seeing them. Hypnicity. Tile roof over 20 years on antidepressants didn't work for me. So let's have a look at that. It took you 20 years. And you know what? Do you know why you didn't come off of them? And tell me if I'm wrong. You thought that they might be doing something, and that if you did come off of them, it might get worse. Am I right with that? Because I've heard a lot of people say that as well. But then when they did come off of them, they was all right. It's the Dumbo feather for me. If I give you a feather and told you could fly, and you believe that to be the magic, then maybe you could fly. But then Dumbo loses the feather and he falls. But at that last moment, he just flies, baby. He just flies. Because for me, on the antidepressants, now I'm not knocking anything. You try what you want. You do what you want. It's the only options, isn't it? But when I read the side effects on that they actually cause suicidal thoughts, I thought, I've just got to take a breather with that for a moment. Right, okay. It may cause suicidal thoughts. Okay. And you take them, and you've got suicidal thoughts. Well, they wasn't wrong by putting it on there, was they? That it creates suicidal thoughts. But a lot of people that are depressed will have them thoughts. But my story behind it is that medicine don't know my story. It can't cure my story. I think, if anything, we want a love pill. I think that was called ecstasy back in the day. And actually that was set up in the 60s. And that's what it was for. People that had no confidence to be able to talk to anybody. They felt like that they had nothing to say. So that's why that got invented. But with the antidepressants and things like that, some it works for, some it don't. But I think it's not a brain that's depressed or unbalanced. What got it unbalanced was your journey. And that, to me, is the mess up between left and right hemispheres of trying to understand, well, what's right and what's wrong. Of course, everything in your body will create an internal imbalance. Anger creates an imbalance. Frustration creates an imbalance. Conflict creates an imbalance. It creates a chemical exchange. Everything does. And so therefore, that's the biggest thing about healing, is finding that balance. Can you talk about Kundalini, Mr. Isley? Well, Kundalini, I don't call it so much as the Kundalini, because now we're talking Asian, Eastern. Kundalini becomes this serpent type of energy that's running through your body. So my Kundalini basically is a ladder. That's it. Just a good old-fashioned ladder. That's my Kundalini. And it's a fancy name, isn't it? Kundalini. It's beautiful. It's got that something to it. Will I get there? Will I understand it? Oh, what's happening to you today, Trev? Working on me Kundalini. Oh, right. Is that a new recipe? Is that what you're eating tonight for dinner? No, it's a spiritual practice of unwinding the serpents within my body to enlighten me. Kind of great, isn't it? Kundalini. No. I like my version. It's just Western and it's just pure honest. It's a ladder. You go up the ladder, you go down the ladder. You know when you're up and you know when you're down. And to me, that's still the stepping stones as well. It's like you're climbing towards, you're reaching towards. And it really does work when you know that if you look at it as a ladder, you can visualize the ladder. But if I ask you to visualize your Kundalini, show me a visualization of that. I can show you a ladder. It's quite easy. I can, make one with my fingers in a sense. But climbing your own intelligence, that's your ladder. Going from A to B is intelligence. You're climbing something. Climbing within, climbing out of the dark night of the soul, climbing out of a relationship, climbing out of depression. We're always seemingly climbing out. Why are we climbing out of anything? It's because we find ourselves on the floor. And to me, that's where the human being is. It's on the floor. It's all in the dark night of the soul. So it's about finding your own ladder. Right. Okay. I was addicted to cocaine. Quit that in 1985. The legal drugs worked for a while until they didn't anymore. Okay, so back in 85, I think we've seen that before. A lot of people was probably connected to cocaine, be honest with you. It became a big fashion. And what was it there for? Well, again, it was communication. People were addicted to it because they just couldn't stop talking. Well, what's depression? You stop talking. So that's the difference, isn't it? So when you're talking on the outside world, and a lot of people on that stuff really do actually talk shit, in my eyes. But when people stop talking shit, they go in on themselves and they're still talking shit because it's an inner and outer world. We live in an inner outer place. And that's why it's always about, well, what is your inner world all about? That we need this stuff to be able to get in or get on in that world. We all seemingly have been built with substances. Everyone's on a substance. It's hard to get away from it. You're feeding your kids substance, chemicals, just to shut them up. There you go. There's a packet of jelly tots, or whatever you want to call them, a bag of sugar. Throw that in. Even when I look at, we have cookery classes and stuff like that, baking cakes. And one of the ladies, I can't think of her name at this moment, but she's been doing it for years. And she's about late 70s, early 80s, something like that. And she's still cooking these recipes for these wonderful cakes. But when you really stop about these wonderful cakes and how fantastic they look and how amazing they talk, you know, just really full of rubbish, aren't they? So we're selling this beautiful thing, but it's going to damage you in the long run because it's just filled with sugar. I can't believe how much, I'm not a cake lover, but I mean, I can't believe how much sugar they pour into making these beautiful cakes. And I know, as I'm mentioning that word cake, some of you have got cakes in the fridge and you'll be heading to them in a minute. So you'll be stopping this live stream because Trev's mentioned cakes. But yeah, it's all the stuff. Okay, John Armstrong. Right, so we've had John Armstrong. Trevor, the truth is hard to accept. When the illusion begins to crumble, it gets scary and terrifying. The truth, what is the truth? Everyone says, what's the truth? Well, no one's got the truth. That's the truth. That's the illusion. Nobody's got the truth. I don't have the truth. But what I do have is the truth of what I believe is my truth. And my truth worked for me. So that truth worked amongst the truth that I used to have, which I thought it was true to be a human being. I thought that was the truth. But when I found out that I actually wasn't a human being, and that became the illusion, that then became the lie, which then took me into the place that says, well, who am I then, if that's not who I am? And of course, that's what the Be Me was built upon. It was like, well, who am I now if I'm not called a human being? I mean, for me to have said that, I mean, that was coming in loud and clear from spirit, you know, because other than that, I didn't wake up one morning and think it was a really good idea to do that. I think that was probably would have been one of the most stupid things to do. You know, that's a bit of a crazy one, really, but it's a safe one because I'm not sort of going against any sort of religion there. I'm going against the education and the awareness that we're called human beings. And I often think back in the day when they really built these amazing temples and their mathematics and their understanding the solar system were bar none. But I don't know if they really called themselves human beings back then. I didn't think they spent much time understanding what a human being is meant to do. I think they was just so connected. And I think titles and labels have disconnected us because it's just a game of reality that we play with different identities. But once you become the one Be Me identity, you just see all the other identities, and it's amazing. All right, guys, it's true. I don't even know what time to start. I think I've just done over the hour. Let's see. Isn't Kundalini just sexual energy? I suppose, Sam, if you want it to be. If that's what it is and that's what it is, then that's what it is for them. But for me, I don't know, really. So all I know was my one is that, you know, in my human self, I felt really bad. Lost, helpless, nothing, numb, dim, pain, hurting, the whole thing, injured. So for me, I just wanted to feel good, and it was as simple as that, really. Anything to try and make that happen. But then I realised the importance of transformation, and that's a good drug to get into, transformation of self. So hopefully that's what I have. Right, where we go. Appreciate your time, Trevor. That's from Roger. Thanks, Roger. I'll stick to the Western stuff. That's from Roger again. Power of suggestion. Yeah, it's a lot to do with power of suggestion. You know, if we're talking about a cure like antidepressants and stuff like that, is a big power of suggestion. I say hypnosis can get people to do things on stage. That's the power of suggestion. So when you're bombarded by, let's say, your presidents at the moment, that's power of suggestion. That's the only suggestions that you've got. It's about manipulation as well. I'm coming out of depression without meds. I quit pharmaceuticals 3.5 years ago. Any pointers? Yeah, keep going, because depression is a disappointment. So if we take the word away, depression, and we just say, okay, look, listen, I'm disappointed. But sometimes on a personal level, yes, we get depressed. But then if you look at life and ask yourself this great question, do you think the whole of life and the way life is has made you depressed? If it's a yes, then that's why you're depressed. If you've had a really horrible, shitty time in life, then you're depressed. Of course, you will be depressed. It makes perfect sense. But when we don't try to work with it to try and understand it, it makes sense. It's the reason why I'm depressed. Or we stop and just say, well, it's an illness. You just shot yourself in the foot there. So power of suggestion, a placebo. A placebo is one of the great miracle cures. So bad mind energy, there's the problem. So what's the recipe? What's the remedy? What's the power of suggestion? It's beautiful mind energy. A mind of beautiful thoughts or a mind of horrible thoughts, horrible words, comes from the same vocabulary. You're just choosing different words and putting them in a different way. That's how it really works. And once you get it, my God, you will headbutt the wall, because something that was so hard to understand has become simple. And it is so simple that it's ridiculously simple. But maybe I just made it simple. And that's the truth of that. But it's all about feeling. So nothing works. You can say, listen, I can say life didn't work. I can say relationships didn't work. I say my goals and dreams didn't work. I say, well, my mind isn't working. Or I can say, well, my emotions ain't working. I can say my heart's not working, my bladder's not working, me whatever's not working. At some point it won't. But what I realised again about the human being, it puts so much stress on that stuff. It will collapse and it will stop working. Right, okay, people, thank you everyone that's on. I think the answer to depression is connection. Well, to me, depression, I give it a top answer for me. To me, I would say it was God's gift to me to understand. And it was from my soul to become fully aware of an experience that could be the greatest challenge of my life, that then pushed me through the door of depression into creating the meaning of life in 3 letters, 2 words, 1 you. That's it. That's depression. So how do I go through depression and come out a completely different being? I don't know anyone that's really done that. And let me know if there is anyone out there that has done that. That's why I think this friend of mine said, I take people from the third base in baseball home because I bring a new identity. Depression is at that third base. Be me, your true self. The painless self is when you get home base. That's self-achievement. There's nothing greater than self-achievement. Remember when you passed your driving test. Nobody could do it for you. How great did you feel after putting yourself through so much stress that you couldn't do it, you wouldn't learn it, you'll never get it, you'll never understand how to drive? It was so confusing. But you did it. And boy, didn't you feel great? Give it a couple of months. That greatness disappears, because how much is insurance? How much is road tax? How much gas and petrol do I have to put in it to fill the tanks up? The list goes on, doesn't it? So that moment of joy, I did it, a sense of achievement, has turned into, wow, now I've got to find the money to be able to sustain the car. So that can bring stress. So a joy can bring the stress. So we can have many happy moments. It will bring lower moments, but that's the balance, that's the way. And I think that's the flow and ebb. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. I think that's infinity. I think once you get to understand that, I think it works really well. I think it makes sense. How has your outer world changed as you've changed inside? Yeah, that's the thing. I'll give you a simple answer to that, Sam. The outer world for me was confusing. But now I see the outer world as purely as the kingdom of God, and what a great place to be. It's beyond the word beauty. I fell in love with that. So how did it change from my inner world inside? Because my inner world had to change from inside with no external forces. Not because I earned £1 million, not because I even got a job, because that didn't even happen. Not because I got a car, because that didn't happen. None of it happened. I was still homeless. I was still had nothing. I still had nothing going on there. But when it all clicked in and I realised that I was battling me and I was my biggest defender or attacker, then when I started to release that fear and it starts to release love, it starts to release a different chemical. It's a dopamine fix for sure. And then you start to see life and it's beautiful. You really, truly do fall in love with it. And that's the best way I can say it. So technically, my inner world was working with that outer world. So that means I was loving myself more, which means I was loving life more. And the more I fell in love with life, the more I felt filled with the feeling of love, because my relationship is life. And I found it in so many things. I found it in things that I never thought I'd be in love with or find the love of. But I say it this, I give it to you so simple. You've got all the colours, right? The primary colours, let's say there's 7. Some people might like 2 or 3 of them colours and not like the other colours. Hate the colours. We'll talk all day about the wrong colours. And if you buy that person the wrong colour in clothing, oh my God, there could be a war. But what I'd learned to do is to just love all colour. You came here to experience colour. So why hate just a simple colour? So I began to love it all. It's like with music. You love it all because somebody has taken the time and the effort, and it's their passion, it's their authenticity, it's what they want to do. It's appreciating that people are trying. So that becomes a different way of looking at things. I don't see human beings in the way that I saw them before, but I do see experience beings having an experience. I see their pains. I can understand their emotions. I can see their thoughts. I can understand what's their journey is all about. So yeah, I think the whole thing changes. Everything completely changes. And then the story of the soul is so relevant. You know that you and your soul are on a mission, and you will know that your soul is leading you to different places that are greater than the places that you thought you could be. And then having a communication with your soul is, well, it's great. It's great. It's, you know, it's beyond, I haven't got a word for it, but it's greater than me with the human being. And I thought being a human being was great anyway. I loved being a human being. My life was great. It was kind of all right. I was doing what I wanted to do. It was working. It's only when it stopped working, I didn't seem to have any control over that. And that's when it got really bad. But then when I look at life and I take the whole of that story, I think everyone's in that place at the moment. And nobody's knowing where their story is going. Understand your own soul. Understand your own spirit. And things will change. Right, where are we? Okay, guys, I think we're going to wind this up now. I need more coffee, says Roger. I have ringing, says Roger. Okay. Right, I think I've gone through these, guys. So I'm going to do some more of these. I never wanted to be you in the first place, right? Thanks for being you, for staying here and being brave to be you. Is it brave? I've never really... People say that. I don't really know what that means. People say, oh, you're so brave. Does that mean there's people out there that want to do and want to say, but you don't feel brave enough to say? I don't think I've ever used that. Well, I've never used that in a Beamy word, brave. Brave mindfulness energy. No, I never look at it like that. But if you say I'm brave, I must be brave. But I suppose I speak what I like speaking about. Is that brave? I say things that may go against the grain. That could be about being brave. Going through depression takes some courage and some bravery, I suppose. But we've all got them abilities to be all of these things. It's only ourselves that tells us that we don't. Right, I know there was supposed to be a button here for live chat. What's that one then? What's that? There's supposed to be a live chat and a top chat. And I don't know where that is. So people, what's them pair of scissors on the live chat? What's the pair of scissors before I click it? Can anyone tell me before we end this? What is them pair of scissors? Because to me that just means cut something. And I don't know what that means to cut. Right, okay. Listen, I'm going to do plenty more of these. Things will get better. As long as I know where you are in your questions. Right, is that coming up different up there? Experimental Beeism. Yes, Trevor. Do more of these. We all love you, brother. Right, now is that coming up on here? And where would that be coming up? Bear with me a second. Right, so the beginning ones. So is it the bottom? Right, so the bottom ones are the ending ones, aren't they? Yes, Ruth Jones, do more of these. We love you, brother. Right, so that was coming up on the screen there. Spectra C, people can save clips of the video. Oh, so that's what that is. That's a... Oh, right, so I won't clip that then. That's Marlene Kahana. Thank you, Trevor. Right, stay tuned. I'm going to be using the same, what do you call it, thumbnail. Because it just saves me doing a lot of thumbnails. Once you see that thumbnail up, that blue, I love that blue turquoise. I think that just let you know. Of course, it will say we'll be going live. So stay tuned for that. Let me know what you want to speak about. The more people I get on here. So if you need to like and subscribe, apparently you have to say that now. And I hate saying that. But I'm going to have to say it, like and subscribe, because otherwise this doesn't go anywhere, because it's all about algorithms. So people, I'm going to bid you farewell. And thank you very much for turning up. And sorry I got it confused again. And I still got more to learn about it, because I still messed up in the first place. So everybody, take care. And I'll see you on the other side. Take care. Now I don't know how to stop it. Right, does anyone know how to stop that then? Right, I do not know. Right, I'm all stopped. Why? End stream. Yeah, where? Where's that? No. Is it that? Bye.